Yes, another episode of Standup Memories. We're having so much fun. We've got Chris
How
Monty.
many shows are we going to do before you learn to not start the show before he says action?
I know, I have to wait for action. It's very
You have no life because
I have no life.
you start the show because you're so excited.
I get excited and I start
Is this
early.
the most exciting thing that happens to you all week? Tell the truth.
Well, actually, on the History Channel tonight, they're doing Harry Truman. So don't say I don't have fun.
Wow.
Ooh.
Now,
As
welcome.
Woods would say, hats and horns.
Hats and horns. This show is called Stand-Up Memories.
I knew Bob Woods for
and Bob
years
Woods,
before I finally figured out what he was saying.
Bob Woods.
When you say something exciting, you go, hats and horns.
Is
hats
a
and horns.
Long Island
meant,
comedian that we still remember.
New Year's Eve, hats
Right.
and horns.
And we want to share with you. We're sharing, and we're going to continue to share now
Yeah.
about Vince Dantona, a ventriloquist, and a guy who was as funny off stage as he was on stage. But first, let's intro the show for people who are new this week. I am Peter Bales. This is Jackie, the joke man Martling.
The joke man.
The joke man, believe me, he is. And the one and only Chris Monty, absolutely a killer, and killer in comedy is a very
Wow.
good thing.
Where'd he
Killer
graduate,
comedian.
Pete?
He graduated from my comedy school called Standup Memories.
Stand-Up University.
Oh, right. Stand-Up. I'm excited.
So excited.
Stand-Up Memories is the name of this show. Stand-Up University is the name of my
I think
comedy
I still
show.
have the sweatshirt.
You have the sweatshirt. You have your degree. We give out diplomas.
Degree
I
and sweatshirt. Well, it
have
only
that.
cost me $600, so I got the sweatshirt still.
Is that what that costs?
They used to
The
charge you
class?
for the sweatshirt.
Did
even
it come
when
with
you
a
graduated.
guarantee? Did it come with a guarantee?
We were poor.
No.
No, it's not $600. It's a lot cheaper than $600.
No.
In fact, if you're an attractive female, it's free.
That's right.
Now,
that
not
was wrong.
to.
No,
No,
that was
before you
stupid.
get any more
No, that was
misogynistic,
bad. No,
misogynistic,
no,
and
we're
it
very
gets blamed on me.
professional. We're
It's that
professional.
Jackie Martling.
When we all started, Vince came on a little bit. I think he might have just got out of the Marines, and he came on like after we'd all been doing it a year or so, and everybody knew each other's acts and everything. And then this got nothing to do with his act, but he met this girl, and I think he married her. Johnny and him were married.
He was married. Yes.
Twice.
And-
I know Maureen.
Right.
And Johnny wanted to be in show business. She wanted to have an act. And he agreed, and she was a big girl, a tall, like probably 6 inches taller than him, but it wasn't a little cute dummy like George.
Right.
Like she had a big, huge woman dummy, and they were horrible. They were absolutely, and I just know Vinny was taking one for the team, because after the shows, they'd go to the bar, and she would pick up chicks, and they would have threesomes. He passed away, but
God rest his soul.
and he'd just be up on stage with a smile because he knew,
After this is over.
he's taking one for the team, but they were horrendous. But he was so funny. And we drove, speaking of driving, we got in my car and drove to West Virginia. Now that's not Virginia, West Virginia. The Library Lounge in West Virginia. And we were so bad, and it was such a long ride, and it was just delightful. Because he was a hoot. He was just a hoot.
Oh, yeah, he was great. He was the first headliner to take me on the road. We didn't go on the far road. We went to Connecticut, but the first one to offer me, hey, I have a gig. It's a Sunday afternoon. I need you to do 20 minutes, whatever it was, $200. I'll pick you up. We go up to the gig together, and I was like beside myself, thrilled. And we were doing a temple. And so I remember stopping the town outside of the temple. We left early. Vince always left early. He didn't want to hit traffic. And it was maybe, the gig was at 3 o'clock, and it was about 1:30. We get to this town, and he goes, we got time. We'll stop in here for a couple of pops, because I don't know if they're going to have anything to drink at the temple.
You never know.
Yeah, and we did. We stopped in for 2 drinks, ordered a little appetizer at the bar, and then we went to the temple, and they had wine. And so everybody's like, you guys want wine? We're like, yeah, why not? And so I had to drive home because Vince had to go.
We did a roast for Vince Dantona.
I have it on DVD.
Oh my God.
I got to find it.
I don't think, I think I was on the Stern Show at that point.
You were
Yeah,
on
you
Stern.
were.
I think it was like 2005.
And one of my jokes
Or even
was,
2003 it might have been.
one of my jokes was,
Oh,
in Vince's neighborhood, the children call him the Puppet Man. and they've never even seen George.
That's good. That's good.
This is Stand-Up Memories, and we're remembering Vince Dantona, who, a little background, served his country in Vietnam and was wounded and was a tunnel rat because he was small in stature.
He's tiny.
He talked a little bit about
A little
that.
bit.
Not a lot.
I never really prodded him on it when we spent a lot of time together. But one thing I will say I miss about Vince is the 2 a.m. phone calls, because I was, in those days, even when I started closing shows and wasn't working with him as much, I was up. I'd get home at 1:30, get back to my apartment. I was a bachelor. I'd pour a bourbon. I'd have a slice of pizza, watch whatever's on reruns, and I'd get that phone call at 2:15, and it would be Vince driving home from the Poconos or something. Hey, what are you doing? Just talk. Where'd you work tonight? And just talk. And he wanted to stay awake in the car. So I talked to him. I said, Vince, whenever you want to call. I don't care what time it is. I'm up. I'm a bachelor.
But this is kind of involves that he's just a ball breaker and a practical joker, and I'll fill in the details that don't matter what they are to make the thing work. But him and Steve Rizzo worked a gig, and they had to come back through the city. And at the time, Rizzo worked far out on Long Island as a teacher, but far enough out that the closest place to get the Daily News, he had to drive back in towards Manhattan like 45 minutes or something to get a place
like Queens
where they actually dropped off the Daily News. And on the way in, they heard that John Lennon had been killed. And they say, well, we got to go to the vigil. I don't know, maybe it wasn't the same night. Maybe the vigil was the next night, too. Whatever it was. But they went to this vigil on the way back from the gig. And there's, John Lennon vigil at wherever, I don't know, it's Strawberry Fields or at the Dakota or whatever. And there's all kinds of press, people singing, and there's a whole melee,
Right.
And they come home, and I guess he dropped Vince off and to get his car, and Vince took his car and of course went to the diner to get a cup of coffee. And Rizzo he's driving all the way back to Long Island, way out on Long Island, because that's where he teaches. And Vince sees the paper and he calls Rizzo and says, Rizzo, we're on the cover of the Daily News. And there's a million photographers there at random, so who knows at what point.
Right.
And Rizzo's all the way out, and he had to teach school at 7:30 in the morning. But he was such an egomaniac that he drove
all the way back
to get the Daily News. And he gets all the way back to get the Daily News, and it was an aerial shot of the Dakota. That is such a Vince Dantona.
Oh, that is so great.
Oh, my God.
That is great.
I was there that night. I was living in the city, working at the comic strip a lot. The night
Peter was the comic at John Lennon's wake.
I opened. No, but it was a remarkable evening. People were very upset. I didn't quite get that. I was there to meet chicks, but no, I joke. That's a horrible thing to say. But it was
I kid because I love.
I kid because I love it. I'll never forget that night, though. I was there, abnormally warm.
I think I was.
Would you have used the same material if it was McCartney's?
Absolutely.
You would use the same
absolutely.
joke. Well, you'd use the same jokes.
He's been using the same jokes for 40 years
I
now.
used that joke after the Buddy Holly crash. I have been around.
Didn't you work at the Coliseum?
I did. The one in Rome, ladies and gentlemen. That's how long I've been doing stand-up comedy.
We need rim shots on this show.
I opened for Gregorian chants.
How well did you know Dantona?
Pretty well. We were pretty close friends. I booked him on a lot of stuff when I would get stuff. And
but his father...
I didn't know that.
His father worked at some kind of plant or some kind of printing, or I don't know what you'd call it. He worked at the place that made the big letters that go on the side of airplanes, like KZ34, TWA, these big plastic, indestructible. And his father made me 5,000 of those 922 wine yellow stickers for my dial joke.
Oh, yeah.
Indestructible. I still have never been able to find one. Where could they be? They're indestructible. They got to be someplace. But he was so excited to do that for me. I couldn't believe it. What a great
guy.
Stand-Up Memories. Now, you've known a lot of comedians. But you told me a story once that stuck with me for some reason. You've told me a lot of stories, but this one stuck with me. I think about it.
I'm scared about what's
Because
coming.
you were going to use it.
What?
You somehow spent time after a show with the boxer, Joe Frazier.
Oh, with Joe Frazier.
And he told you, how do we put this in? Because I have the highest respect for Muhammad Ali, but Frazier told you, you know why Muhammad Ali is.
Oh well, he said that. He said that on the way out.
Listen to this.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I'm at the Casbah Comedy Club.
Okay.
Mark Vito down in Wildwood, New Jersey. It was a summer gig. It went from Memorial Day to like 2 weeks after Labor Day, and it could be brutal. You're there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Beach crowds, late, tired, But we get this hot weekend, and it's just packed, and it's great. And I'm backstage sitting in, and I'm the closer. I don't say headliner. You're a headliner. You're a headliner. I'm going last. And so the owner.
For years I went last.
Yeah.
Not because the only reason I went last was because I was dirty and I was by far the loudest. That's how we got rated.
That's how you
Actually,
got rated.
Martling's on last. You're
The way my
loudest.
career's going, I was a headliner. Now I'm a guest spot,
Now you're a guest.
which is something.
Well, this is a three-man show.
Okay.
MC, the house MC was the owner of the club.
Right.
Anyway, but he comes backstage and he goes, "You're never going to believe this. Joe Frazier's here with his girlfriend and a few people." I go, "Smoking Joe Frazier?" "Yeah." "Oh, my God." I said, "Well, after the show, I might embarrass myself because I want to take a picture with him and meet him." And the owner goes, "Well, you're going to be embarrassed behind me because I'm meeting him first, And so we go out there after the show. Show was great.
I swear to God, he was on the Stern Show a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I thought you were going to say he wanted to tell jokes or he wanted to sing.
No,
He's a singer. I think he actually put out an album.
Yeah, I think he did sing. We were at the bar. Everybody leaves. He's there with his girlfriend, whatever. And he comes over to me, shakes my hand. He says, "You're one funny man. I really enjoyed the show tonight." And I said, "Champ, can I buy you a drink?" And he goes, No, I'll buy you a drink. Come." So we sat down and we talked until 3 a.m. Me, the other two comedians, some of the staff, the bartender. And that's it. Everybody else left. And then we just closed the bar. And we sat there, and he was telling great stories. Here's one of my favorite things he said.
You really got to pay close attention because
He was okay. He was still okay. This is about 2 years before he died. He was just okay. But still, when he shook your hand, it was like granite. It was unbelievable, right? He had a cane, but when he shook your hand, man, it was. But I said, "What's the greatest thing you accomplished in your career? Was it, becoming a heavyweight champion of the world?" And he said, "No, the greatest thing I accomplished was I went back to the land where my grandparents were slaves on in South Carolina. I bought the land, I built a mansion, and I gave it to my parents." He goes, "That was the greatest thing I accomplished." in my
Wow.
life,"
Nice.
Which isn't that amazing?
That's
And then we went back and forth. He said he had told me he was upset with Ali because Ali never really gave back to the African American community as much as he should have, whereas Frazier was very big in that field, But then, when this is what Peter loves.
Yeah.
When he's walking out of the club, we had a great night drinking, and he never drank or smoked his whole life. And he told me he didn't start drinking beers till he turned 60. He said he never smoked a cigarette, never smoked a joint, never did any drugs or anything. Even if he got sick, he'd only take aspirin and that'd be it. He didn't clean as a whistle. But he liked beer, and when he became 60, he just enjoyed beer, and he liked Heineken's. That was your drink of choice, right? You're a Heineken man.
No, according to the show, it was
Yeah.
I wouldn't drink it with a gun to my head, but yes.
So we took a picture together. He gave me an autograph, and as he walked out of the club, he said, "You know why Ali can't speak and he shakes all the time? Because he went 45 rounds with me." And that's what he said. And it was what a great exit, too.
Oh,
It was perfect
man, that's
timing.
his exit
What a
line.
great
What an
line.
exit line, right?
Goodness.
That's it. Drop the mic.
Wow. Boom. Drop the
Yeah.
mic.
That was a great night. I get
what a
more
trip.
excited when I meet sports heroes because I've worked with Joan Rivers, Kevin James I'm friends with, all these people, and people say, "You get nervous, you meet these stars, Jackie Martling, I go, "No, I kind of look at them as my..."
But when somebody's from a different walk of life.
Yeah, I met famous New York Islanders, famous New York Jets, some Mets, and boxers. When I meet those guys that I grew up, because I'm a big sports fan, and I just get, that's when I get like, "Oh man, I really want to meet
Yeah,
him."
I love doing those golf outings, and
Yeah.
I go up and then, I got chased around the ballroom by Larry Holmes and by Clark Gillies and by Jerry Cooney,
Yeah, I
because
just
you're
did.
there to insult them.
Right.
I did one outing where nobody ever tells you anything, and Jake LaMotta
Yeah.
insisted on going on. So Jake LaMotta went on before me, and he did a couple of minutes. He's about this tall with a hat this big. He was so terrible. And the guests of honor, and I don't know football, so I might not get this right, were like the 69 Dallas Cowboys or the 73, whoever they were. I used to know. But they had all found Jesus. It was a team that Broadway Joe was on.
That's the 69 Jets.
Or maybe
68 Jets,
But
69
these guys
Super
had
Bowl.
all found Jesus, and nobody told me this. So I'm up
Where
there
was he?
talking about, Joe Namath is snorting coke off. The reason Joe wasn't out here with us, he's in the bathroom snorting coke off a waitress's ass. These guys all got up and left.
That's on your joke or Jake or Jake's joke?
Well, on a series of stuff I'm doing, and then well, yeah, man, they found Jesus. Well, it would be nice to mention that
Before the gig, before I go on. By the way, don't mention the wife, she's dead. Like that.
Right. Oh God.
This is the #1 Jet fan, and even today, I mean, it's tough.
It's even when they're good, it's tough.
Even when they're good,
they
it's
got
good.
a talented team. It's
Funniest, stupidest thing. And I wound up taking my nephew to a bunch. I'm not a football fan, but taking him to the Jets games, and it was Fireman Ed.
Yeah.
So Gary must have been talking about him or something, and Howard said, we're on commercial. He said, who are you talking about? And then we come back from commercial, and Gary explains, there's this guy who's a Jet fan that stands up with no shirt on. He's on his brother-in-law's shoulders with a backwards fireman hat, and he quiets the entire stadium. He goes 1, 2, 3, and everybody goes Jets, whatever it is. And I actually saw this happen 3-5 times with my nephew at this thing.
He's still there.
So he tells, is that right? So Gary tells Howard this, and Howard says, that's pretty crazy. See, book him, bring him in. Gary called Fireman Ed, and Fireman Ed wouldn't come on the show because he was afraid that Howard wouldn't take him seriously. That's a true story. That is a true story.
Oh, that's funny.
He said, you gotta be, are you kidding?
Oh, that's funny. He's still there.
Is that right?
He quit for a couple of years because people were getting mad at him, and he was getting abused by the fans, and he stopped. I'm not doing it anymore if the fans aren't going to, they're going to treat me with respect. And now he's back because I guess he needs the spotlight,
And the whole stupid stadium.
Yeah. Well, only when they're good. When they stink, the crowd,
Sit down, Ed.
Whoever's in the Jets are playing, all their fans are there because,
you talk about sports. Comedians bounce, and I love writing with Chris, always have. And I had an idea. I couldn't make it work. He makes it work right away. Well, let me say, and you pick it up. Your grandmother is watching baseball,
and so watching a game with my 90-something-year-old grandmother and the Mets, they get a home run, and then they showed the replay, and she goes, "We got another one." Wait, and this is the best line he gave me. He goes, and then they showed the replay in slow motion, and she goes, "These guys aren't even trying."
All right.
That was a classic Polish joke way back, because the Polish guy lost $50 on a horse, and he lost another $50 on the instant replay.
This has been Stand-Up Memories. Wow, that went quickly with the one and only Chris Monty. Of course, Jackie Martling, who remembers every joke. And I am Peter Bales. This has been so much fun, and we're coming back next week.
I want to first say 2 horrible things that happened to me. because I'm getting old, and I will forget to do these. My sister called up and said, if you're coming over the house, she has twin grandchildren, I'm out of diapers and it's in bad shape. I need diapers. Will you stop and get some diapers? I said, no problem. And I walked into Rite Aid and said to the girl, where are the diapers? And without flinching, she said, adult or children?
You know what? It's a legitimate question.
But at the time, I thought she was saying, oh, are they for you, old man? Of course it's a legitimate. I was just crushed. And of course it's so ridiculous. And I just laughed my ass off. And then I bought some diapers for myself. We did that. We did that on a Stern show. We all put on adult diapers and stood up and watched each other as we...
It's nicer that way, isn't it?
Here's my joke.
Very warm.
Here's my joke on that. I recently went to CVS to buy condoms, and the cashier looked at me and went, "Are you kidding me?" And I got so mad. I said to her, "What, I'm too old to buy condoms? I'm not virile enough to buy condoms?" And she goes, "No, your coupon expired." It's not easy to be old, but this is Stand-Up Memories. Chris Monty, Jackie Martling Peter Bales. See you next time.
Your coupon. That was a pretty good episode.
A new episode every Wednesday with me, Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, comedians, interesting people. Leave a comment. We'll get. What am I saying?
I don't know.
We're gonna get back to you. We will respond to your comment.
StandUpMemories.com. If you go there, it shows all the different
Oh,
platforms.
Spotify. We're on everything.
Every Wednesday.
Stand Up Memories.
Every Wednesday.
A new episode.